Good morning, everyone. Our discussion today is about the AFN equation and analyzing effects of changing ratios. Our objectives are understand the AFN logic, compute AFN step by step using the given example, and interpret the drivers or effects of AFN to the changing ratios. By definition, AFN means additional funds needed. AFN tells us how much external financing the company needs to support its projected growth. If AFN is positive, it means the firm needs to borrow or raise new equity. If AFN is negative, it means it generates more funds than it needs, which is a good sign. Now let's go to each symbol and its meaning. A star means assets that vary directly with sales. It means the assets that automatically increase when sales increase. These are your current assets. Example, inventory and accounts receivable. S0, it's sales during the past year. It refers to your sales last year, your base year. We use it to compare how much growth we expect next year. A star over S0 is the required assets per peso of sales. This ratio shows how many pesos of assets you need to support 1 peso of sales. If it's 0.60, it means for every 1 peso in sales, you need 0.60 worth of assets. Next, L star, liabilities that increase spontaneously with sales. L star are liabilities that automatically grow when your business grows, like accounts payable and accruals. These are spontaneous sources of financing. Next, L star over S0 is your spontaneous financing per peso of sales. This ratio shows how much of your increased sales are automatically financed by short-term credit from suppliers or accruals. If it's 0.10, it means you get 0.10 of free financing per peso of additional sales. S1 is the projected sales for next year. It reflects the growth target the management is aiming for. Next is the change in sales, which is S1 minus S0. This simply measures how much we expect sales to increase. It's the driver behind all the other variables in the AFN formula. M is the profit margin. This is the net income over sales. It shows how much of each peso in sales becomes profit. A higher margin means more internal funds to reinvest, lowering AFN. RR is the retention ratio, which is 1 minus dividend payout ratio. RR shows how much of your profits you retain instead of paying out as dividends. If you retain 40% of profits, it means RR is 0.40. So going back to the EFN formula, if ratios are expected to remain constant, we always have to remember the three clusters, which are the required assets, A star over S0 times the change in sales, minus the spontaneous liabilities, L star over S0 times the change in sales, minus the retained earnings, which is the M times S1 times RR. In summary, think of AFN as your budget gap when planning to expand. A star and change in S show how much more you need. L star and RR show how much you already have internally or automatically. Whatever's left, that's your AFN, the cash you'll have to find through loans, investors, or new capital. On the next slide, we will solve an example of finding the AFN. To read the problem, Carter's Corporation sales are expected to increase from $5 million in 2005 to $6 million in 2006, or by 20%. Its assets totaled $3 million at the end of 2005. Carter is at full capacity, so its assets must grow in proportion to projected sales. At the end of 2005, current liabilities are $1 million, consisting of $250,000 of accounts payable, $500,000 of notes payable, and $250,000 of accrued liabilities. The after-tax profit margin is forecasted to be 5%, and the forecasted retention ratio is 30%. Use the AFN equation to forecast Carter's additional funds needed for the coming year. Now let's break down to all the given factors. S0 is the previous sales, so that's 5 million. S1 is the projected sales, which is 6 million. Therefore, the change in S is equal to S1 minus S0 is equal to 1 million, or it's the 20% growth. The total assets at the end of 2005 is A is equal to 3 million. Full capacity, all assets vary with sales. So we have already our A star over S0, which is 3 over 5 million is equal to 0.60. Next, current liabilities. It says accounts payable at 250,000 or 0.025 million, notes payable at 0.50 million, and accruals of 250,000 or 0.025 million. For spontaneous liabilities, L star, we have to exclude the notes payable because according to the book, it's discretionary. So L star is equal to accounts payable plus accruals, which is 0.25 plus 0.25 is equal to 0.50 million. So we will have our next given, which is the L star over S0, 0.50 over 5, remember the 5 million, is equal to 0.10. Next is M, profit margin is at 5%, so it's 0.05, and the RR in the given it's 30% or 0.30. So now we have completed all the necessary variables, so we have to compute directly. So the required assets increase is 0.60 times 1 million is equal to 0.60 million. Spontaneous liabilities, the next part, is 0.10 times 1 is equal to 0.10. And addition to retained earnings, M times S1 times RR is equal to 0.05, 6, and 0.30, which is equivalent to 0.09 million. So the result is, for the AFN, it's 0.60 minus 0.10 minus 0.09, which is equivalent to 0.40. 41 million. In short, Carter needs $410,000 of additional external funds to support the 20% sales growth. Notes payable are excluded from L1, L star because they do not rise spontaneously with sales. Okay, on to the next slide. We have another set of self-tests, and it says if the key ratios are expected to remain constant, the AFN equation can be used to forecast the need for external funds. Write out the equation and explain its logic. How do the following factors affect the AFN or the other requirements for external capital? For retention ratio, capital intensity, profit margin, dividend payout ratio, and sales growth. Is it possible for the AFN to be negative? What would that indicate? If excess capacity exists, how will that affect the AFN? So let's solve one by one. Now that we know what each symbol means in the AFN equation, let's interpret how changes in these ratios affect a company's need for external funds. So before that, we have to write first the AFN equation. So AFN is equal to A star over S0 times the change in S minus L star over S0 times the change in S minus profit margin S1, and the retention ratio. Remember that AFN measures how much additional funding a company needs to support sales growth, assuming all other ratios remain constant. If sales go up, assets need to go up too, but liabilities and retained earnings can help finance part of that need. Let's go to the table, which indicates the factor direction of effect of AFN and its implication. Number one is the retention ratio. When a company retains more of its earnings, meaning it pays out less dividends, it has more internal funds to finance growth. So the direction of effect of AFN is lower. For example, San Miguel Corporation decides to retain 80% of its net income this year instead of 50%. That means more cash will be available to reinvest in expansion, maybe new breweries or logistics hubs, thus reducing their need to borrow. Next, capital intensity. This ratio measures how many pesos of assets are needed per peso of sales. The higher it is, the more asset intensive the business is, meaning it requires more capital to grow. So, the direction of effect of AFN is higher. For example, a cement company needs expensive, heavy equipment and raw materials to expand or increase sales. It's highly capital intensive. So every sales increase requires a lot of new investment. Next, profit margin. A higher profit margin means more income per peso of sales. The more profitable the company, the more it can finance its own growth and rely less on outside funds. It means they need lower AFN. For dividend payout ratio, when companies increase dividends, they keep less profit for reinvestment, meaning they'll need to borrow or issue equity to fund growth, which will result to higher AFN. For example, a telco company raises dividends to attract investors. That's good for shareholders, but reduces retained earnings. So if they plan to roll out new 5G sites, they'll need external financing, possibly through bonds or loans. Next is sales growth. Sales growth is the primary driver of AFN. The faster the sales increase, the more assets you need: more inventory, more receivables, and more working capital. So, as we see, AFN doesn't just depend on profit or sales. It is shaped by how we manage earnings, operations, and even dividend policy. Now, let's move to two interesting questions. Can AFN ever be negative? And what if we have excess capacity? So the answer is yes. When a company's internal funds, like retained earnings, exceed what's needed for asset growth, AFM, AFN becomes negative. In simple terms, the company has more than enough funds to support its operations. For example, a BPO company in Cebu might generate strong cash flow but have minimal need for new equipment. Their AFN is negative, meaning they can use surplus cash to pay down debt, buy back shares, or increase dividends. It's like earning more than your monthly expenses. Instead of borrowing, you can start investing. And what if excess capacity exists? When a company has idle or unused capacity, say unused warehouse space, unutilized machinery, or underworked staff, it can increase production or sales without needing much new investment. For example, during the pandemic, many manufacturers were operating at 60 to 70% capacity, and when the demand recovered in 2023 or around 2024, they were able to raise sales significantly without buying new machines. So their A star over S0 ratio fell and their AFN was lower. Another example in small business. So in a coffee shop, so in a coffee shop that can handle 100 customers a day but currently serves only 60, increasing sales doesn't require buying new equipment yet. So that's excess capacity, no new capital needed. So in summary, when AFN rises when growth and capital needs outpace profits, and it falls or turns negative when internal resources or existing capacity can sustain expansion. This is why managers must look beyond sales target. So they must ask, can our internal resources support this growth or do we need to borrow? So that's how crucial they have to discuss and deliberate. Now let's look to another example to better understand the effects of AFN. So it says, suppose a firm makes the following policy changes. If the change means that external, non-spontaneous financial requirements will increase, indicate this by a positive or plus sign, indicate a decrease by a minus sign or negative, and indicate an indeterminate or negligible effect by a zero. Think in terms of the immediate short-run effect on funds requirements. So we have several policy change, and we will discuss the effect on the AFN. So case A, if the dividend payout ratio is increased, the effect is positive or plus. When a firm raises its dividend payout, it gives more profit to shareholders and keeps less for reinvestment. That means lower retained earnings, less internal financing, so the EFN increases. Next, produce only after an order is received or build to order, and the EFN effect is negative. So the explanation on this is that This policy reduces inventory levels because production only happens when there's confirmed demand. Less inventory means fewer assets are tied up in stock, thus reducing the assets to sales ratio and therefore AFN decreases. Next, pay all suppliers on delivery instead of a 30-day credit. So the effect is positive. This reduces spontaneous liabilities like accounts payable. Before the company could use supplier credit as temporary financing. Paying immediately removes that free credit, so the firm must find another funding. Thus, AFN increases. So instead of having your buy now, pay later, if you will pay the supplier outright, you will now need more cash upfront. Next is begin selling on credit, previously cash sales. So the effect is positive. When a company shifts from cash to credit sales, accounts receivable rise. This ties up funds in customers, increasing total assets and the need for external financing, so AFN increases. This is a classic strategy, for example, hardware store. So offering credit boosts sales, but then it stretches its working capital. Next, profit margin declines due to competition. Sales steady, so the effect is positive. Lower profit margin means lower net income from the same level of sales. With smaller profits, retained earnings fall, reducing internal financing. So AFN increases. Next is advertising expenditures are stepped up. So the effect is positive. Higher advertising expense increases operating cost, reducing net income and retained earnings, so internal financing drops. In short, this raises the AFN. For this case, we have to always distinguish short run versus long run effects. In the short term, marketing raises AFN. In the long term, it may lower AFN if sales grow strongly. Next is replace short-term bank loans with long-term bonds. The effect is zero or negligible. This is mainly a change in financing structure, not a change in total assets. It doesn't directly affect the AFN, since AFN measures new external funds required, not shifts between financing sources. However, in the long term, this might affect liquidity or interest expenses, but not AFN directly. And lastly, pay employees weekly instead of monthly. Paying weekly reduces accrued wages, which are a form of spontaneous liability. This means fewer short-term liabilities to help finance operations, so AFN increases. It's like paying all your bills weekly instead of monthly. Your cash leaves faster, and you might need to borrow in between. So, to wrap up, anything that reduces internal funds or spontaneous financing raises AFN. Anything that reduces asset needs or improves internal financing lowers AFN. And if financing structure changes alone often have no direct effect on AFN. So for a takeaway question, looking at your own organizations, which policy, if changed today, would most likely increase your company's AFN requirement? So that's all for today. Thank you for listening. Happy learning!